Guys, I might have done a really bad thing today, and it might throw off all of my plans. All right, okay, so let me back up. When you're self-publishing, it's really important to have a set schedule from the time you draft a book, if you start that early, all the way until the time that it's going to be published. And there are certain things that have to happen in a certain order so that you can make that deadline and have your book published on time. So I had picked my publish date and I had everything set up. I had all my deadlines set up. I knew that I was on the final edits, and so it wouldn't be a big deal. I could just get it through really quickly, get it done. Yeah. You know what they say about having a plan? I was editing today, and I'm going through, when I go through my final edits, I actually like to retype everything out. I know that a lot of writers will just go through and fix words here and there in the existing document, but I like to copy mine into a brand new document. It helps the words flow better for me, and I can read them aloud in my head as I'm writing them, and so sometimes I can catch mistakes that way. So anyway, I am about halfway through the book right now. There's like 300 and something pages. I don't even know. There's 300 and something pages, like 360 pages or something, and I'm on like page 180. So I'm like literally halfway through, and I am typing out this scene, and I'm copying it from this other document that I have, my last draft, and I'm writing it out. And this particular scene is kind of a pivotal scene in the book. And as I'm sitting there and I'm writing it out, this thought occurs to me. You know, it would be really cool if this other thing happens in the plot earlier in the story. And the thought kind of is fleeting, and I keep on typing. And the more I type out that scene, the more that scene starts to sound really, really weird. And so I stop and I think about it, and you know, they say when you write something and you've been writing it over and over and over and reading it over and over and over, you start to not only get blind to it, but it starts to get really old for you. Oh, there goes my flash. Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna say right now, I've got a really janky setup going on right now with my lighting. So if it looks kind of yellow in here, it's because I'm filming at night. I don't usually film at night, but this all happened today. As of the day that this filmed, it is, what day is it? Wednesday the 20th of February. And so all this stuff happened today, and I had the house to myself tonight, and I felt like I just really needed to get it all out now, because I'm going to be out of town this weekend anyway, so filming was going to be difficult. As I've said in my previous video, I've been working on this book forever. It has literally gone through like 20 different drafts. I've rewritten it 20 times. And so as I was writing that scene today, and I kept having that thought that this certain instance needed to change in the plot, my first thought was, okay, Ceara, slow down, because you can't make a gigantic plot change when you have very little time left and you are in the final editing stages of this book that you literally just announced that you're going to publish this year. You can't do that. So I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I could not get the thought out of my head, and the scene I was writing just kept sounding so flat. And so I texted my husband. So my husband Grady is my content manager. That's what he calls himself. It's his self-appointed title. He is really good to brainstorm ideas with me, and we have little sessions where we will sit and talk about my stories for hours and hours and hours, and he'll brainstorm down different paths with me and help me figure out which way makes the most sense. I like having his perspective because not only does he not read my genre, he doesn't read much at all. He listens to audiobooks, but he does not read anywhere near my genre. And he's a man, and so his way of thinking is a lot different than mine, and so he usually has a lot of really good input. So anyway, when I had this thought, the first thing I did was I texted my husband, and I said, hey, am I really stupid? Is this a really bad idea? Can I do this? And I told him my idea, And he goes, yeah, that would make it a lot better. And I was like, oh, crap. So I am supposed to have my book done, final edits completely finished by March 10th. Today is February 20th. So that means I have 18 days until my due date for safekeeping, the final draft. And I have to hit that due date or else it's going to throw off my entire schedule and my publishing date is going to have to be pushed back. And I really don't want that to happen because I made all these plans for it to be on this certain day. I haven't announced it yet, so I guess I could move it if I needed to, but I really don't want to. So I told my husband, I've got 18 days. Can I write an entire book in 18 days? And he said, well, can you? I said, I don't know. So I thought about it, and if I devote every living second of the next 18 days, maybe I could get close. How can I say this without spoiling too much? So Bellamy is the main character of my story. And as I mentioned last time, she is a woman who disappeared from her hometown 10 years ago. And she comes back 10 years later and she's got all these secrets and all these mysteries. And there's a certain trait about her that I've really been struggling with. And so in my recent edit, I had tweaked that trait a little bit to make it more believable, I guess. And anyway, this change that I had made to Bellamy's character trait had little waves of impact throughout the story, enough that I could just kind of tweak it as I went. This change that I'm thinking of would be a vital plot point that would change at the very beginning of the book. And it would literally change every single thing that happens in the book. Not just the way that Bellamy acts, but the way that every single character around her reacts to her. And so it would change the entire plot, basically, of the story. I mean, the plot would still be the same, but it's just gonna be fundamentally changed. And so it's not something that I can just be like, oh, let me just add this in here at the beginning, and then the whole rest of the book will still make sense. So, long story short, I've got 18 days to rewrite my entire novel. This book is 70,000 words long, 360 pages, you guys. That is so much content. That is so many individual little scenes that each have to be tweaked, because if I miss even one, it's going to throw off the reader. So it has to be so convincing. I have to make sure that it is completely written as if I planned that from the beginning and didn't just decide to add it at the very end. 18 days. If you can leave a comment below for any encouragement, suggestions, advice, that would be great. So you guys will see this video on Monday. So I will be, 5 days into this so far? So I guess we'll see how it goes. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram already, that is where I am most active to post updates and things like that for the things that I'm working on. So my handle will be on the screen and I'll link it below as well. If you guys want to go follow me on Instagram, I will keep you updated with how these next 18 days are going. Otherwise, keep an eye out for my video next Monday and I will give you an update and we'll see where things stand. See you next time.